Welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection show features up-and-coming indie authors who sit down with us and talk about their recently released books. Join us as we chat with our next guest author. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Author Roundup. I'm Emma, and I have with me another amazing guest, author Vanessa Craven of Birds in My Tree. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? Thank you for being on the show.
Hi, Emma. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, exactly. Can you tell us about your book?
When COVID hit, all of us were in lockdown, and I'm a musician. I couldn't go out playing my gigs, so I guess I have a beautiful garden. It's a 1-acre garden in the bush, and we have beautiful birds around. And because my life was always in flux, running around, I hadn't really sat down to appreciate things. So COVID really honed that in, and I began to really appreciate the nature that I had around me, both flora and fauna. And the birds were just so amazing that I began to interact with them. And I thought, my goodness, I've got to share this with people. Mm-hmm. And then I took lots and lots of photos, so, that's where the trail led. And I hadn't thought about a book or writing a song or anything. But then as things came together, I thought, I could actually turn this into a song. Mm-hmm. And I was Zooming and doing lots of songwriting with a songwriting group where we critiqued each other's work. I'd written this song that showed each bird that arrived in my garden, and there was a verse about each bird. And they said, that's really cool, you could, and then someone said, you can turn it into a book. And I said, I hadn't thought about that. So this thought just kept going around in my head. So in the end, I thought, well, yes, why not? So, but it took like maybe 1.5 years later to decide, yes, I'll do that. So the song was there, and I kept tweaking things, and then I thought, no, I've got to do it. And so come October of last year, I started the ball rolling and looking for publishers and so on, and Ex Libris came up, and what I liked was that they had everything mapped out. This is what you get, this is what package, that etc. I got into it, and I was looking for children's publishers, but I couldn't find any available at the time in Australia. So I thought, I'll just self-publish. And then that'll be out of my bucket list there. Yeah. But the actual fact of the matter is that I hadn't ever in my life planned to write a children's song or a book or anything, So, sometimes you just got to go with the flow. Creativity comes your way. You've just got to say, okay, do it.
Yeah. So explain Birds in My Tree a little bit, because yes, it's a children's book, but it's very unique because you're a musician, you said, right? So, yes. And Birds in My Tree is a song, but how is the book different from just a normal children's book?
Okay, yes, thank you for bringing that up. I got so excited about why I wrote it, but the book is actually aimed from 4 to, say, 8-year-olds, 7-8-year-olds.
Okay.
And it's a color picture book, so it's the same as any other children's book. But the uniqueness about it is that it is actually a song, and there's a QR code on the book, in the book and on the cover, which if anybody zaps it with their phone, it'll take them to the YouTube clip of the song, so kids can listen to it, parents can turn the pages as kids listen to the song, and anyone can really learn the song. I suppose that's what's unique about it. Yeah. And I was actually thinking, I'll put a CD in the back, and people from Ex Libris said, why don't you do a QR code? And I said, QR code, yes, we're all used to QR codes, why don't I? So I investigated that, and it wasn't quite so hard to do anyway, and much cheaper actually, so, and instantly accessible. So so it was great. And even got to put my logo in the QR code because it said you can do that. So I did, with much
Oh.
fear and trepidation, but it worked.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like with COVID and everything, QR codes have become so useful. I think that's such a cool feature that it's on there. This is so good for kids because it's like right there, like you said, it's instant and they can listen to the song as well as like follow with the pictures. That's really cool. I love that concept and idea.
Thank you.
And so what about you? You said you're a musician and you live in Australia. What else about you?
In my past life, I was a librarian. So I was used to books, putting books on the shelf, buying books. So here I am with my own book and trying to, share it with other people. So I live in a beautiful part of the world in Dalesford in Victoria, and we get 4 seasons, and it's lovely. And right now it's autumn, so the colors are changing. Yes, always had a love for writing, and I guess I owe that to my mum and dad because they were both teachers, and dad was a man of letters and spoke several different languages, as did my mother. My love of music, my mum would walk with me to my music teacher. We'd walk about 6K, up and down because I come from like in the Himalayas in India. That's where I grew up. And mum and dad, so I stayed there for about 25 years, and then I came to Australia. And so I have roots in both places now. And my writing careers really started when I was at school because mum would get me to help her write the Christmas newsletter for the family. And so we'd sit down and we'd sit in the sun in the cold winter because it was the northern hemisphere. And so we'd sit outside in the sun if it was sunny, and we'd write this letter to all our family and friends. And so I still do that, and so writing became a real part of my life. And I guess writing songs really started when I was at university. I was studying literature, and I got inspired by all these different classical poets and so romantic poets and so on. That's when I discovered, oh well, I can actually write poetry and songs. So I kept with that off and on, and then it got more prevalent, when I lived in Australia and I'd settled down to a job and settled in here as my second home. Yeah, I just kept writing, and I belong to a writers group.
Oh, wow.
Called the Murabul Writers Group. So we've done a few anthologies, 3 of them published, and so that's where I first started publishing with another group. And so I've got short stories and a poem or 2 in these books. So this book is my first self-published.
Self-published?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned that this concept began or came from COVID, you said?
Yes.
That's
yes,
awesome.
That's right. I have so many, because about 13 birds in the song, and there's many more. And there's a powerful owl in the book, which I often hear, but I never saw. So I put that in because I love these birds, the raptors. And I didn't actually have a photograph of my own. And I must say that photography has always been part of my life because my dad was a keen photographer, and he always had his 16mm and 8mm and 35mm cameras. And whenever he went camping, hiking, or he'd get up early in the morning just to capture a particular scene in the sky or something, or snow scenes. And so I just took to that like a duck takes to water. And so I included that in what I was doing. And then art sort of followed from that. So I do art as well, like painting and stuff. So I'm having a good time, letting my creativity take me in different directions.
Yeah. I was going to say you're very well-rounded. Like you're a musician, and then your parents, literature and poetry, writing, teaching. Like that's so amazing. I feel like there's so much creativity in your family, and it's just sparked you and made you into the person you are today. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Emma. Yes, I do attribute all this to really the upbringing, my parents, you know, what they were able to give me, and so I really appreciate that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long did it take you you said that the song took you a year and a half to complete, you said, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, it might have taken me far less time to actually write the song, but
okay.
kind of lay there, and I didn't do anything with it. So,
okay.
you know,
Okay.
things take, you know,
yeah. Things happen, and
and so kept coming back to this song, and as the group critiqued it, I said, "Oh yes, I can fix that. I can do that. Yeah, that would make more sense, you know." To make it tighter in its output. Sometimes you just shelve things for unknown reasons. So from the time I started to the time I actually decided I want to publish it, it took probably about a year and a half.
Okay. And then so you had your song, and then how long did it take to complete the book?
Okay, so I started the process in October. I contacted Ex Libris and they said, yep. And I remember Kelvin saying to me, he said, send me the QR code. And I said, yes. And to me, that was the most difficult thing to do. I thought, I'm going to get online and find this QR code because I can't do anything unless I do that. And he was most helpful, and I really thank him for suggesting that, because it just wouldn't have occurred to me to do that. So I really thank Kelvin for that. It was so easy, like it hardly took 15 minutes to do online. And so it took October, just before Christmas, that it actually got published.
Wow, so that's awesome.
And I thought, oh, what do I do now? They say, okay, so-and-so is going to help you with doing the artwork and making sure, right from the start, actually, with the copyright issues and all that. So we went back and forth and gave the credits where they were due, because there's some photographs there that belonged to other friends who had better photos of two birds, the lorikeets and the owl. So, because my lorikeets flitted in and then they flitted out, and I took it on my mobile phone, and I thought that's not good enough for the print job. So all that happened, and then it came together, then the design, and it was really good having designers behind from Ex Libris showing me how to put things together. But I had a clear idea actually in my head what I actually wanted, you know. So I said, I'm going to use this photo for the background of the lyrics, and I'm going to use, this is how I envisage these photos to look for the birds and make it really colorful. And I'd like a greenish background, and you know, so we went back and forth, and they came up with some really good ideas. And I remember Kelvin saying, you've got to have a nice bright front cover. And I actually started off, because I like the cockatoos, the sulfur. So I started off with the white, and I thought, no, that's not captivating. I better change that and make it a red colored bird. So the rosellas came on the front cover. Yeah, so all of that happened, and I remember trying out my QR code and making sure it did go to the right YouTube
right place.
And all that. And then, of course, a friend of mine helped edit the video.
Nice.
And, I had to orchestrate the birds flying, because they would come and they would eat some of the wild bird seed out there, and then they just wouldn't fly. And I said, I've got to have this reference to the birds flying. So I said to my partner, I'm going to line myself up on the opposite side of the block, and when I'm ready, you just bring the dog out and let her run. She'll chase the birds. Then the birds flew at the right time.
At the right time? Oh, good. How many takes did it take to do that? Just one?
Oh, no, there were you because sometimes
Oh,
it fly in the wrong direction. I said, I just got a speck
oh,
over there.
you got it, right?
So we got it in the
Good,
end. But
good.
probably 4 takes, 4 or 5 takes.
Yeah. That's so funny. So writing seems to come naturally as far as like music writing for you. And then you said you've written like short stories and poetry. But so the publishing aspect was new, self-publishing. And I feel like that's a pretty good publishing. So how was the publishing experience as a whole, you would say, with Ex Libris?
I think it was actually pretty good because I know I'd given myself very short time there. But Kelvin actually was the first contact, said, no, it'll work. Just give me your QR code. It'll all work. So I said, okay. So I kind of trusted him. And it
Yeah.
did, because they were pretty good. They worked back and forth, emails, phone calls, and they were very
Mhm.
responsive. And I was really grateful for that because
Yeah.
sometimes you get people and they might not reply to you for ages. Anyway, it was really good. And I think overall my experience has been really positive and really good with Ex Libris because they just have it mapped out so well who
Mhm.
does what and um, what I'm supposed to do because I wasn't sure right from
Mhm.
the start exactly what I was letting myself in for, that I would
Yeah.
have to think of X, Y, and Z and more. So, yeah, I must say it was um, less painless than I thought it would
That's
be,
good.
in the sense of anxiety or
Yeah.
as you do,
Yeah.
you think, oh, I won't meet the deadline, or is this all right, or will they throw it back and say, no, it's not good enough, or, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad that the experience was good for you. What was your favorite part about writing your book and publishing your book? What was your favorite part?
Well, I think, it was like cooking a stew, if you like, because I was putting all these ingredients in, and
Hmm.
slowly I thought, oh, well, I think I'll call it a book.
Yeah.
Because I was started with the song and the photographs,
Hmm.
or probably first the photographs, then the song, then the
Okay.
lyrics. And then I thought I've got to have the music notation, so I got a friend to do the music notation. It's
That's
actually
cool.
my band member plays double bass, and I said, Don, I don't have my spare time to do all that. Can you do that for me? And he did, and
Oh,
there it was.
that's awesome. That's so sweet.
So that was really lovely. So I think in the end, the final product is, I thought, oh wow, it doesn't look too bad.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I thought I quite like my book actually.
Yeah.
'Cause, you can look at things and you think, I don't know,
Yeah.
um, but the printing, for example, was really tops, and they'd done a great job. And the fact that they wouldn't let anything through as a publisher without it being
Hmm.
checked, and
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
that the quality was good.
Hmm.
I suppose, yeah, look, it was a bit of everything really, but when I probably realized, oh well, it's going to be a book, I better jump to it and fine tune it. So that's when the music notation came, and that's when I started putting the pictures of the birds together, with the
Hmm.
lyrics. And
Yeah.
it was exciting. I could see
That's
something
fun.
developing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you could see it come to life. Yeah,
Yes.
that's so fun. What about, was there any like part of the writing, your writing experience or writing process that you found a little difficult, maybe?
Yes. I I think, I type really fast. I end up with lots of
Okay.
typos. So I would
Hmm.
say editing,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
always really, really good to get several other sets of eyes or a good editor looking at your work
Hmm.
because you're too close to it and you often see things and somehow like for example, I had spelled Rosella's Rosels, and I'd
Hmm.
left the A out, or double L A out, and I thought, and it didn't occur to me till about the third or fourth edit that came back, oh, that's wrong. And then I began to really look for other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, no, this ain't good. So
Yeah.
friends came up and they said, oh, no, that's not right. And, oh, that's not right. And I thought, of course it's not.
Yeah, you just didn't see it. Yeah.
So having a good editor at the start is a good thing, because you wouldn't want to print something that's not spelled
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
or typos, or like even your punctuation and things like that. So I think that for me was the biggest thing. It's the not so much fun, perhaps.
Yeah, it's not as fun as writing it, is it? Yeah, it's like, oh, I have to go and edit this. What was one of the nicest or most memorable reviews or feedback you've gotten about your song and your book, Birds in My Tree?
Okay, I mentioned that I belong to my different art groups as well, locally and in the region. And I took the book because I was so excited when I got my first 50 copies.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, here's my book. And the guy Steve, his name is, who leads our group here, said, oh, I want one for my grandchild. So I gave it to him. And the next time he saw me, he said, that damn song, he said, I can't get it out of my head. I suppose it was a kind of a backhanded, I like that song. It feels, you know. So I said, oh, I hope it drives your little kid nuts, singing the song. And then I sent it to a musician friend, and he said, he thought the concept was really great, and he said it's a really catchy tune, and that he really liked it. And he's well-known musician in Melbourne. And then lots of other friends saw the book and my posts on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
So they said, I'm going to buy one for my kid and for my grandchild. So a lot of my friends have gone out and bought the book, and I thought, it's doing better than my music CDs did. Because people have to listen to the CD, but you're looking at the book.
Yeah.
And it just appeals to them. So I'm sort of a bit gobsmacked.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That they were buying it. So, and then another friend's written a big long ream, and it's going to go in the Theosophical newsletter. I don't belong to the society, but a friend who is also a librarian and colleague said he would like to do a review. Could I send him a book? And so his sister writes for the paper, and so they're going to put it in there, and it goes all over the world. So I said, oh, yes. And he said she loves nature, so she's written a long, lengthy thing about just the beauty of nature coming through in the book.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
And the other day I was at a book fair, and I was selling my book, and so it felt quite strange, having a stand and selling my book. And a lot of people bought the book, and this family came by with their 2 little kids, and they'd obviously been around the stalls looking at all the books, and there were other children's books there, and all sorts of fantasy books and whodunits and all that. And then they came back and they said, look, we really want to buy this book because these are the birds that come through our backyard, and the kids love them. And then as I showed them the QR code and the song, they said, and they can hear the song of each of these birds and their bird sounds, and so we think this will be great for them. So I was so excited that
That's
the
so
parents
cool.
wanted the book. So I did a couple of book launch in a place called Port Fairy, where I'd gone for a folk festival, and I just rang the library up there and I said, can I come and do a book launch and maybe teach some kids during your story time the song? And they said yes. So they loaded up a whole busload of 29 kids, and they came along, and I was there with fear and trepidation because I hadn't faced a class for a long time.
Yeah.
They were so good, and then they got into the action. So I showed them a video. Then I said, okay, let's have a go at song, and they began to get because they're quite repetitious, some of the lines there. So they got into the song, then I got them up, and we were doing the actions, and the teachers with them there were doing the actions. So they said, and they all had smiles on their faces. So I think that,
Oh,
to me, that was, they were having fun.
wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so many like amazing experiences just from your book. That's really, really cool.
Yes,
That's
and
awesome.
and the last thing I ever thought I'd be doing was doing that in a with kids. So I
Yeah.
thought I've got to loosen up.
Yeah, I'm sure you were great. That's awesome. What advice would you give a writer wishing to publish their book?
I would say, one, if you've got an idea, go with your dream,
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing worse than canning something if you can do it.
Yeah.
Follow your dream, and you'd be much happier for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, actually plan in your head before you get into it who your audience is, what you're aiming at, what you want to achieve through the book, and have a good solid base of ideas, but be willing to change things
Mm-hmm.
for the better of the book.
Book.
Whether
Okay,
it's
that's good
a novel,
advice. Yeah.
yeah, whether it's a novel or whether it's a factual book or
Mm-hmm.
anything, because having a good idea of what you want to do and where you want to go saves a lot of time, but it also lets the publisher know this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And you can work with improving things, all the time,
Yeah.
and your ideas may, you know, like in my case, it was the CD versus the QR code, and I thought, oh, I'd never have thought of that. So, just being willing to
Yeah.
be to be flexible, I suppose. Yes,
Flexible. That's a good word.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Do you have any other professional book goals this year for 2023 for your book or any personal goals you have?
Yes, sometimes I have too many and then I go crazy because I can't get to all
Can't do
of
all of
them.
them? Yeah.
But with the book, yes, I'm going to keep promoting it, and I've got 4 of my local libraries now lined up.
Wow.
We're a big shire, it's called Hepburnshire, and so next week I'm doing 4 libraries, and
Wow.
we're going to go through the do a book launch in each of the libraries, and parents are invited to come along and bring their littlies, and so we'll share the magic of birds with them. Yeah, and the libraries have been so good. They actually helped me print and laminate some picture cards which I want to give to the kids to show them close
Oh,
up,
that's
you know,
cool.
so they can see the bird. And then they've got an
Yeah.
activity after this, learning of the song and hearing it and seeing the video as well, that they can draw and color birds in, or make little modules to take home.
That's fun. That's really
So
cool.
that's happening. And then I'm booked for a folk festival where I'll be launching the book
Mm-hmm.
and teaching the song again. And that's in, I think, the month of June, end of May. Yeah, or
Mm-hmm.
sometime in May. And I'll keep going through to different libraries and different places. And also, I've written to some radio stations so we can talk about the book. And I have in the pipeline, I want to do a poetry book next.
Oh,
So,
fun.
and I've got out of my comfort zone, and I've got the first chapter done of my sci-fi book, which
Ooh, that's
started in, which is
cool.
quite different to everything else.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so fun.
So yeah, so I'm currently doing little critiquing sessions with the writers group I
Oh,
belong to, and so they've come with really good suggestions as well.
oh,
So
that's good. That's
so there's
awesome.
and then I'm tweaking all my old songs which I wrote during, not old songs, new songs that need fine tuning as well. So I've got to tongue in just about every fire going on.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you have a lot going on, but that's all amazing. So many amazing projects. That's really fun.
Thank you, Emma. I
Yeah,
hope I get them done.
yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we go?
Oh, I'd just like to say thank you to all those who have bought my book, and to those who haven't, I invite you to just have a peek. You can have a peek at my book web page called, and it goes under VIR Craven birdsongbook.com. VIR
Okay.
Craven birdsongbook.com. And you can have a peek inside the book there, because Ex Libris has done a really nice web page for me, and you can flick through a few pages to get an idea of what the book's like. And so yeah, recommend doing that. And other than that, I want to just say thank you, Emma, for this interview.
Yeah, of course. It was
and
great talking to you.
and also encourage other writers to keep writing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much. We're very happy you published your book, and we wish you the best. And thank you so much for taking your time to chat with us today about Birds in My Tree. Thank you so much. You can purchase Vanessa's book at xlibris.com, or yes, her website, or Amazon.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.